My fiancé's family tried to control our wedding planning and harassed us when we set boundaries. Now I am considering canceling it all to avoid their emotional abuse. Should we sacrifice our dream wedding for peace? Am I overreacting by canceling my wedding because of my fiancé's family? I will need to provide a considerable amount of background information on why this is something that has even crossed my mind. I apologize for the lengthy read. To start, I must go back quite a bit to when we first met. When I met my then girlfriend, we were in college. As we were getting to know each other and growing closer, she confided in me that her parents were saying and doing things that constantly crossed boundaries. Some examples include calling her overweight and criticizing her eating habits, as well as telling her that whatever she was doing was wrong, whether it was something simple or significant. They had issues with her chosen major, which was business management. Her stepmother would take money from her bank account because she needed it. When my girlfriend would approach her father about their behavior, he would either deny it or claim that she was being overly dramatic. When COVID-19 hit, we all had to return home from college and could not live on campus. Her parents owned a dog that was extremely aggressive. Only her father and stepmother could enter the house unless the dog was restrained. The dog would frequently attack my fiancé and her sister, biting them, tearing their clothes, and causing bodily harm. My fiancé was confined to her room upstairs for 95 of the day, leaving only for the remaining 5 when she could. She had to request permission to leave because her parents needed to restrain the dog, and if they did not want to get up from the couch, they would refuse or yell at her to stop asking. She could not eat in the presence of her family and was essentially isolated in her upstairs bedroom. Additionally, every time we went out to eat with them, they displayed extremely racist behavior, which made her uncomfortable in public. When she addressed this, they would dismiss her concerns. We moved out and settled into an apartment together, which they complained about and were unhappy with. They not only objected to her moving out but also to the apartment's location, which, by the way, is a very nice place, its size, its rent cost, and its proximity to them. Even from a distance, they continued to treat her poorly, attempting to control her job choices and criticizing every decision she made in life. They even tried to separate us by using my heart condition, mild Epstein's anomaly, as a reason to suggest that I would likely die, urging her to find someone who is not deformed and not to have children with me because they might also be affected, which I have allowed to slide. Now onto the main events that are causing this situation. A few Christmases ago, we visited them for Christmas Eve as we always had. We also saw them the day before, and they inquired if we could have breakfast with them the day after Christmas, which we agreed to. On Christmas Day, while we were spending time with my family, my sister began to feel unwell. Instead of everyone leaving together, my father took her home while the rest of us stayed to celebrate the holiday. Once they got home, they discovered she tested positive for COVID-19 on an at-home test. The sequence of these events will be important later. After we returned home, my fiancé called her parents to inform them that we had been exposed to COVID-19 and that we would not be coming to breakfast the next day. Her father screamed at her for 5 to 10 minutes, criticizing her for being awful, claiming COVID-19 was not real, calling her stupid, and using numerous expletives as she sobbed before hanging up. That night, she experienced a complete mental breakdown due to the things that had been said. The following day, she went to breakfast while I stayed home sick, and during that time, they taunted her and made fun of her because she looked unhappy. She later contracted COVID-19 herself, much worse than I did. After the breakfast, her father spoke briefly with her and apologized. My fiancé told him that he was treating her poorly and that she did not want to lose him since he was her only remaining parent. He assured her that would never happen. This was the beginning of the cracks forming in their relationship. Until this month, I have let everything go at my fiancé's request. Her parents attempted to involve themselves in every aspect of the wedding planning, and since that Christmas incident, my fiancé has set boundaries and told them no. Therefore, we planned the wedding as we wanted it, and once again, they complained, expressing extreme dissatisfaction that they were not involved, specifically that her stepmother was not invited to tours with us. They are not contributing financially to the wedding, so they do not get to dictate our plans. This led to her stepmother planning the bridal shower for my fiancé. My fiancé tried multiple times to ensure her wishes were accommodated, but she was consistently sidelined and told not to worry. The invitations went out, and they only invited 5 people from my family. I do not have a large family: my mother and sister, 2 aunts, 2 grandparents, and 2 adult cousins, all of whom my fiancé wanted there. When my mother politely inquired why 1 aunt and 1 grandparent were invited, she was told they ran out of room. My fiancé communicated that this issue needed to be resolved so her future family could be included, and was told no. They did not matter because she doesn't have a relationship with them. As a result, she requested the shower be canceled. They began screaming at her and said awful things about her and my family. They sent my mother hurtful messages blaming her for the shower's disarray when all she asked was whether she could add the additional aunt, grandparent, and my 2 adult cousins. My fiancé was told she was 25 and should no longer be fighting with family, that families argue during weddings, this is normal, and that they would take a few days to think about canceling it. They continued to complicate matters by acting as if everything was fine, but when my fiancé expressed her feelings of distress and urged them to cancel the shower, they would resort to screaming again. They sent her texts demanding an apology for making this a big deal. After discussing with her sister, we discovered that her stepmother had acted maliciously in response to the boundaries my fiancé had set regarding the wedding. Things escalated this week when her father showed up at our apartment, stating that you and your fiancé need to talk with me just before arriving. She has kept me uninvolved in this issue to protect me from their family problems, and because she feared they would resent me if I defended her. Up until now, I have remained silent and refrained from engaging with them. Upon entering our apartment, he began yelling about how we had turned this into a significant issue when it was not, how no one cared about his feelings, how I am a terrible person, and how he wants to avoid seeing or speaking to me, my family, or my fiancé until we apologize to him. He shouted in my fiancé's face, "Do you know how much pain you have caused me in my life that I have to live with?" He claimed that the pain was due to her being upset after that Christmas breakfast because we still visited my grandparents, who are at risk from COVID-19, but did not want to see him, who does not believe in COVID-19. In reality, we had already been together when she began to feel ill. He continued to twist conversations he had with my fiancé to paint her as a liar, manipulating the truth to make himself appear better. My fiancé and I managed to utter perhaps 3 combined sentences during this ordeal, none of which he acknowledged. One of these statements was a request for him to lower his voice, or our neighbors would call the police. He accused us of plotting to upset him and her stepmother. At this point, his behavior became erratic, and I did not even respond to that accusation. She asked, "What are we going to do about the wedding, which is in 3 months, and what about our relationship?" He replied that until she apologized, he did not want to hear from her and stormed out of our apartment. An hour later, he sent her a text stating, "I don't know why that went so badly. I love you and will do anything for you." Now she is devastated because of his actions, and I refuse to allow this to continue. Since he directed all that abuse toward her, I do not want them at the wedding, and she no longer wishes for any involvement from them because they have ruined it. I am uncertain how we could proceed with our plans without her family, and I do not believe my fiancé wants a large ceremony anymore because we would have to exclude her family, turning it into just a celebration with my friends and family. She would have no one to walk her down the aisle, no father-daughter dance, none of it. I do not want her to endure that pain on our wedding day. Therefore, I am contemplating canceling our existing plans and adjusting to something less extravagant that does not involve them, but everyone keeps insisting that we should not let them ruin what we had planned. My fiancé is even ambivalent because the wedding we had arranged was what she truly wanted. I simply do not know how to move forward without them being present. She and I still need to discuss everything, but at this point, I am not even sure I want the wedding anymore. I still want us to be married, though. Summary: my fiancé's family has attempted to sabotage our wedding plans from the beginning and has now verbally abused both me and my fiancé for her setting boundaries after they have emotionally and mentally mistreated her for years. This has led me to consider canceling the entire event and creating a new plan without them involved. Am I overreacting? P.S. Thank you to everyone who took the time to read the entire post. This summary captures my life for the past 5 years, reflecting what I have witnessed, and the past few months have been incredibly difficult for both my fiancé and me. I appreciate anyone who took the time to read this. Story 2. I, a 19-year-old male, can't tell if I am experiencing long distance or if I am falling out of love with my 19-year-old female girlfriend. Hello, everyone. This is my first post here, so please bear with me. I have been in a relationship with my girlfriend for about 4 months now. Prior to dating, we were very close friends. We took walks every night and confided in one another frequently. I still believe that despite our dating, those were the best days of our relationship. As soon as we discovered that we both liked each other, I made the decision to transfer to a different college. This decision was partially influenced by my parents, but a significant part of it stemmed from my various problems with my previous college and a desire for a change in environment. I am really glad I made the change. At that time, it did throw a wrench into the development of our relationship. We texted throughout winter break and decided to make our relationship official via text during that time. We met up a few times afterward, and both agreed to try to visit each other as often as possible to ensure the relationship could still work. By this point, we had expressed a lot of our physical attraction for one another and had grown very attached in that way. Both of us have touch as our primary love language, and it definitely showed in the initial weeks after we realized we liked each other, before the college transfer and the break. As a result, we definitely kind of rushed into things. It was quite awkward, and it still is somewhat challenging to determine what our relationship truly looks like as lovers instead of friends. We began to text more frequently than we ever did before, only to realize that texting was awkward and uncomfortable. When we were together in person, things were also a bit awkward, but there were some truly lovely moments. Then the break ended, and I had to actually attend my new college. I continued to text and call, and we acted like boyfriend and girlfriend, but I began to feel very uncertain about the whole situation. I had severe anxiety about the feeling that my heart was not fully invested. She and I are very similar in many ways, but it seemed like we became intimate before we addressed the important aspects that we should both agree on. We still agree on most crucial points, but there remains a disconnect between us. I feel as though my ideologies and core beliefs are not entirely shared. It seems I must actively encourage her to discuss these vital matters because she appears to intentionally want to ignore them. That frightens me. Beyond these issues, though, I have recently begun to feel as though I do not really have a spark. I am unsure what falling in love is supposed to feel like because it has never truly happened to me before. I have always developed deeper feelings of attachment slowly in past relationships. In this one, I just did not feel right. I felt like I was only dating her because I was very attracted to her and because we got along so well as friends. It's not as if I only liked her after finding out she liked me. The feeling was mutual from the start, and I was genuinely attracted to her and wanted a relationship from the moment we met. Before we began dating, there were some incredibly beautiful moments between us. We truly opened up to each other and confided in one another frequently. My relationship with her brought me immense joy and confidence during those days, and I cannot imagine where I would be without that. So I understood that I had strong feelings for her, but I just could not determine if it was truly love. Eventually, Valentine's Day arrived. She visited me, and we spent nearly the entire weekend together. After a long day of feeling sick to my stomach with nerves and anxiety, I broke down in her car. I cried in her lap. I honestly think I was experiencing a panic attack. It was difficult. I disclosed everything I was feeling. I told her that I cared for her deeply, but I just was unsure if it was right. I did not know what to make of my affectionate feelings toward her or my feelings of doubt. The night on Valentine's Day ended on a somewhat positive note. I think she walked away with new doubts about my feelings for her. She did not say so, but I suspect she was surprised by what I shared. There was certainly cause for concern on her part. I left feeling grateful to have someone so kind and understanding to whom I could open up about my doubts and fears. Then, a few days later, I ended the relationship with her over the phone. Yes, I know, it sounds foolish. I told her that I needed time to contemplate, that I was not ready for a relationship at the current stage in my life, adjusting to a new school, meeting new friends, etc. All the clichés. It was not my proudest moment, that's for sure. Looking back, I feel quite foolish. However, the feelings that prompted it were legitimate. I was at a point in my life where I truly needed to focus on other things besides a relationship, and it was becoming increasingly challenging to maintain a long-distance relationship. Long-distance relationships are notoriously difficult for a reason. It was also true that I had numerous issues with relationship anxiety and other personal concerns I felt needed to be addressed. I then went ahead and resumed the relationship with her for one night, and then I broke up with her at the end of that same night. Then, I regretted my decision a few days later. Ugh. So, essentially, I feel foolish. However, I need to explain what happened next. I felt extremely lonely, very sad, and I missed her tremendously. I craved her presence. I wanted her company so desperately. I did not want her to feel rejected by me. I did not want her to stop communicating with me. I just needed her. Yes, this is probably typical for a breakup, whether it was warranted or not. All I know is that I felt as though I gave everything away. It was incredibly difficult. I truly felt so alone, even when she did text or call me. I could not handle that. We are now at a point where we are still maintaining a long-distance relationship. I visited her last weekend, and it was lovely. She looked beautiful, and we had a wonderful time together, taking things slowly. We laid in bed together for an extended period, played a card game with old friends, and went shopping. It was all very nice. I loved it. However, I still have my reservations. At this moment, I have recently discovered another significant disagreement between us. Additionally, I do not feel a strong desire to text or call her anymore. I do not think about her much unless I am questioning our relationship. Furthermore, I must confess that a number of other women have caught my eye, and I find myself genuinely wanting to date some of them. It is tough. I feel like I haven't expressed enough of my feelings for her, so this may be painting a more negative picture than it is. I do know that right now, in this exact moment, I love her. But I do not know if I love her for who she is or for the sense of security she offers me. I am uncertain about my own feelings regarding this. That is part of the reason I turned to Reddit for assistance. I just don't know. I need some outside perspectives. Sometimes I wonder what it would have been like if I had never transferred. What if I had been able to spend every day with her? I would have slept by her side and taken a walk every evening. I would have done everything with her because she was and is my best friend. I love her so much. I just do not know what to do. Another thing is that I am very attracted to her, and our physical intimacy is wonderful. Recently, I have been feeling slightly less attracted to her, but for the most part, it has been really great. Part of my current struggle is not knowing if I wanted to date her then and want to date her now because of my attraction to her, or if I actually do love her. I know I love her in some capacity. I just do not know if it is in the right way. Also, I am unsure if I can develop into the kind of love I seek, or if I am overlooking something that I should possess during this phase. In summary, my close friend from my first semester of college became my girlfriend over winter break. Unfortunately, I then transferred to a different college for the following semester. We have been on and off because of my numerous doubts and anxiety. I just do not know if I genuinely do not love her or if the long distance has impacted things too much. I do not know if my love for her is based on physical attraction or if it is something deeper. I do not know if I should wait for our relationship to have the time to grow before I consider these matters, or if I am being wise in evaluating these things now. My question to all of you is this: does it seem that I am experiencing the effects of relationship anxiety and long distance, or do I genuinely lack the right feelings for her? Do you think this level of worry is justified in a worthwhile relationship? Am I overthinking things? Story 3. My friends think my new boyfriend is sketchy. After nearly 3 months of dating, he pressures me for sex, knocks on my window at 1 a.m., and I feel more chemistry with my friends. Should I trust my instincts and let him go? I am a 21-year-old female from the United Kingdom. I am here because many of my friends are concerned about my relationship, so I will provide further details. This is also my first relationship, and we have been officially dating for nearly 3 months. I met my boyfriend at a university Halloween party. We danced together, and he was also my first kiss. We have met a few times since Halloween, but when we got together, it was never for long, only a couple of hours, because he would say he needed to go home to do chores. Sometimes he would cancel our plans and claim that he was unable to meet for various reasons. He asked me to be his girlfriend in December, and I accepted. On the day he asked me out, he invited me to his place on Christmas to have sex, but I felt that was too soon. He claims he is not that kind of guy. We met again the following week on Christmas Eve and went out for food and drinks. I remember him mentioning wanting to bring me to his home again, presumably for sex, but I declined. That night, he was going through his Instagram, and I am not sure what was on his mind, but he showed me a video of a naked woman, which obviously made me angry. I made him delete everything from his Instagram search, but he insists that he never searched for any of it. I truly believe he is lying because I do not search for naked men on Instagram, yet no photos of naked men appear in my search. He must have looked it up. The week before he asked me to be his girlfriend, he was with a friend, and they were being silly while driving around. He lives in London, and I live in Essex, but they joked about driving to my town, and they actually did so at 1:00 a.m. To be honest, that freaked me out a bit. He said he wanted to knock on my window to ask me a question. He was planning on asking me to be official, and he coincidentally drove down my road. However, I did not tell them my house number because I do not want anyone knocking on my window at 1:00 a.m. We frequently meet up and engage in activities together, such as going out for meals, which has been enjoyable. He has been paying for many of these outings, and I appreciate it, but every single time we meet, he mentions sex. When I explain that I am not ready, he asks when I will be ready and how long it will take, which has put pressure on me and made me less interested. On one occasion, he even brought new condoms with him. I texted him last week about the issues I feel we have, and he promised that he would change. However, something feels off. I should feel excited to see him and swept off my feet, but I do not. It almost feels forced on my part. I even have better chemistry with my friends and text them more frequently than my boyfriend sometimes texts me. According to my other friends' perspectives, they feel there is something questionable about my boyfriend and believe that the relationship is progressing too quickly. I must agree because my boyfriend has already mentioned that he sees himself marrying me one day and that I am the reason he is still here. He has had 2 ex-girlfriends, and he said they felt he did not love them enough. I am questioning whether he is the right guy for me. I do not feel that we have deep conversations or interactions that are not superficial, in comparison to my friends. When we meet, he does not suggest any activities, and it has been me who has done all the planning. I should also mention that when we went out together on Valentine's Day, we did a lot of fun things, but there was one particular moment during dinner that keeps coming to my mind. He said he really wanted to take me to a bedroom, and I informed him that I was on my period, which was true. He seemed genuinely disappointed. After that conversation, we discussed what we could do after dinner, and he suggested I should go home following the next activity if I were on my period. I found that honestly horrible and felt that he did not truly want to spend time with me. I then explained that my period was not that heavy, and he accused me of lying about it. Honestly, I am not prepared to have sex, and I feel that I need to get to know him better, as I am very selective about who I will allow myself to be vulnerable with. My virginity is significant to me because I have resisted much temptation to keep it. My boyfriend claims that his impulsiveness leads him to frequently ask about sex and that he tends to feel aroused often. However, I do not understand how, despite saying that he will only engage with my consent and that it is my choice, he seems to expect sex from me. Should I work on this relationship or should I let it go? Summary: my boyfriend stated he would change, but he often brings up sex when we meet, and I do not feel we share many deep conversations or natural chemistry in the same way I do with my friends. My friends believe there is something wrong with him, and that the relationship is developing too rapidly.